This is my fifth video now in the series, The Place of the Ten Commandments in the Lives of Christians or the Christian Life. I've been getting some comments and partial response from one Seventh-day Adventist member who, like many Seventh-day Adventist members, apparently don't understand what they read when they read it. And then when they respond, they fail to answer the essence of what the videos have been about. So let me repeat it again, in case Seventh-day Adventists just can't get it or don't understand it. The Old Testament, or the Old Covenant, which included the Ten Commandments, was given to the nation of Israel only, and it was given at Mount Sinai, as evident of Deuteronomy chapter 5. It was given to the nation of Israel only. Now, Sabbatarians, answer a question for me. That is the historical setting of the Ten Commandments and the covenant given to the people of Israel when they came out of Egyptian bondage. They made a covenant with God. How can I be held accountable for something I was never a part of? That is the simple way I know to put it. Where in the Old Covenant were Gentiles ever a part of that covenant? It was made with the nation of Israel. Now, a Gentile could come under that covenant through circumcision and so forth, but they were never bound to keep a covenant they were never a part of. The Sabbath being part of that covenant. Why should I, as a Christian today, be bound by a covenant and a Sabbath command in that old covenant that I was never a part of? It would be like A and B making a covenant and expecting C to keep that covenant when they never were part of it. Christians, apparently Seventh-day Adventists, just don't get it and can't answer this. So you need to ask yourself the question: how can you be held accountable for an old covenant that you were never a part of? How can you be held accountable for the Sabbath of that old covenant that you were never a part of? Never, ever. There is nowhere in the entire Scriptures where Gentile Christians were ever commanded to keep the Sabbath. Nowhere. It is a forced position by scholars who must follow their false prophetess because simply she said so. That's simply what it is. There's absolutely no command in the entire Bible where Gentile Christians are ever commanded to keep part of an old covenant that faded away when Christ was crucified at Calvary. Nowhere. Nowhere in the New Testament is the Old Testament Sabbath ever renewed, because it never was given to anyone but Israel, and it never was renewed in the New Testament. There's not a Sabbatarian anywhere who has ever showed one place in the entire New Testament where the Old Testament Sabbath was ever renewed. Why? Because it was a sign between Israel and God, and it faded away just like the rest of the Old Covenant did at Calvary. And as I mentioned, we are held to a higher standard now. The Old Covenant said, thou shalt not kill. The New Covenant, don't even think about it. The Old Covenant, about adultery. The New Covenant, don't even think about it. See, Jesus raised all those things to a higher level, to a higher understanding for Christians. And we were never bound by that old covenant to begin with, much less ever bound by any Sabbath. So Sabbatarians, please show me one place in the entire Scripture where Christians were ever bound to the Old Testament covenant. Never were. It was made between God and Israel. Now, Sabbatarian, if you don't want to recognize truth, that's your problem, not mine. If you want to twist Scriptures and run all over the Bible trying to prove something, that's your problem, not mine. It is very evident in Deuteronomy chapter 5 that covenant was made with the nation of Israel, and the Sabbath command was part of that covenant that was abolished at Calvary. You can't abolish part of it and keep part of it. Either it's all gone or none of it's gone. The fact is, the old covenant was abolished at Calvary, and Christians were never ever a part of that old covenant to begin with, and never were bound to keep the Old Testament Sabbath. Never. Nowhere in Scripture were we ever bound to keep the Old Testament Sabbath. So maybe some Sabbatarian and Seventh-day Adventist will actually try to answer a question rather than tap dance around it by giving a video response and not answering the question. Until next time, this has been Golly saying, God bless.